Well, good morning, Wareham. It is Wednesday, July 17th, and we have a great show here for you. The news headlines, the weather report, and today in history. Kendra Bond, the donkey whisperer, is in the studio this morning with a big announcement, which she'll be making herself. But first, I would like to take this moment to thank Not Your Average Antiques, an antique shop down Cranberry Highway in East Wareham, for donating the props that you see in the morning show. So stay tuned because the weather and the news headlines are next. Well, expect some scattered thunderstorms later on today, high near 85. Then cloudy overnight with thunderstorms likely, low at 71. Tomorrow, an overcast, including showers at times, high at 74 and low at 66. And now to the news. There were a few news stories over the week, and here are the news headlines. While town officials are stepping up their enforcement codes, the town administrator, Derek Sullivan, convened a bi-weekly meeting of all the code enforcers in town, including the Board of Health, building inspectors, both fire districts, the police department, water control pollution facility, and conservation administrator, David Plachette. Selectman Alan Slavin noted that the town recently passed a bylaw allowing officials to impose daily fines until a problem is resolved, which can be placed directly on a resident's tax bill without the involvement of a judge. And to another news, Monday morning, Wareham Fire Department responded to a blazing fire that engulfed a trash truck just before exit 21 on Route 195 East. All occupants were safely out of the vehicle. Thank goodness. And to another news, Selectman Alan Slavin has announced on Tuesday that Wareham may get a traffic signal at the intersection of Route 6 and Swifts Beach Road. He also stressed that it may take up to 3 years to fruition. And that's all for this morning news. Stay with us. We'll be right back with more. Well, in honor of our guest this morning, we are going to be healing with Kendra Bond. talking about healing and being connected, right? About your energies and how to listen to your energies and what those energies mean depending on where you are or how comfortable you are with certain things. So let's talk more about healing.
Okay.
What is healing?
Healing is bringing the body back into a state of balance, and the mind and the spirit and the psychological systems, because you are not just your body. So if you are having a spiritual challenge or an emotional challenge or a mental challenge, they also have to be addressed as well as the physical. And so there are many ways of learning energetically what that is, through muscle testing, kinesiology, through dowsing. There's many different tools of dowsing, and now we're actually using our body as a dowsing tool to find out where the imbalances are.
But yet, in order to receive healing, the healing that you're talking about, you have to be grounded. To some point,
You have to be accepting.
You have to be
because we all have destiny. And your pain may be a part of your destiny. My pain, I come from a place of abuse, you know, from an ex-marriage. But that was, I would not be here. I would not have lost my power, regained my power. I would go back and do it 100 times more for what I received and what I learned and the path it put me on, because it kept me on my destiny.
So you help people journey within themselves.
Yes.
To get to unlock each and every door to find what?
Basically, when you go into a state, a trance, a very deep, relaxed state, then you can really notice, oh, I have this wall in my heart. Oh, you know. And then once you recognize that, once you see it and really feel how it's affecting you, when you come out of the experience, you know how much weight that's having on you. So now there are a lot of ways of addressing that. There are energy medicines, there is EFT, there's going back in and really addressing, doing a regression back to the time when that wall was created and seeing what was the experience, and do you really need it now? Because chances are you don't. It's an illusion. You put it up for protection on something maybe 20 years ago that isn't even in your life anymore. So it's all about balance. Holistic healing is really about bringing all of you into balance.
How do you become aware of this daily in your routine? When you wake up, when you go to work, when you're home with your family, your loved ones, how do you become aware of this? How do you interact with these energies and learning and grounding yourself, balancing yourself constantly?
So when I work with people, the first thing I tell them is to learn about heart math. Heart math was created by a neurocardiologist, and it's about the state that you're in. And you're either in a state of low coherence, high coherence, or neutral. And what happens is when outside stimulus activates a memory, you either go in one of these states, and there's a lot of them, okay, from low to high, all right? Well, what happens when you drop down into a low state, and it depends on how low you go, what you're reacting to, what kind of trauma. What he has found is that if you put your hand back on your heart, or you breathe through your heart, you vision it, and you think of something that you really love, within 30 seconds, you'll go right back up into high coherence. So when I work with people, the first thing that I suggest is that they learn heart math. And they go on the webpage and they learn about it so their ego understands what's happening here. So when you get angry, frustrated, you know, don't feel right about something, you stop and you say, okay, I'm in low coherence, and you just get yourself into high. Once you feel comfortable with that, you stop and you say, what exactly, if I was to put it into one sentence, was the reason that I just went into low coherence? Did someone not listen to me? Okay, so, or whatever it was. And usually you will find that there's the same thing happening. It's I'm not being acknowledged, I'm not being recognized, I'm not being heard, if that's the issue, okay? So now you know that's the psychological blockage that drops you down into low coherence. And now there are other techniques that are very easy and simple that you can change those. There are a lot of ways, just music, you know yourself, you put boogie beat music on and you're like, you know, you put something real and you're like, use it. Use those. Those are tools. If you're, don't be listening to boogie beat music. You know, drink chamomile tea. Do the things that give you the control to control the physical, emotional, spiritual, and your mental state.
You are the creator of a Facebook page called Divine Time. Tell me about that. You share a lot of insight about being grounded, about what it means to heal, what it means to have a spiritual guide.
Yeah, and I've gained a little bit of a following there because I think people every day need to be reminded that they're not their job, they're not their paycheck, they're not late for work, that they're a spiritual being, and if they take the time to stop and think about that, they can be in a better space that day.
And that is very interesting because you would share something about yourself, something personal, and at the end of the day, you'll bring it to some conclusion of this is what
Why?
This means. This is the why. You give them the why, and in a sense where you are at peace with the why, that it is out of my control. This is part of my destiny. Therefore, I am to just accept it, embrace it.
Because I got the strength, knowledge, and ability from the experience, there's nothing negative about it anymore. It's only when we don't get what it was given to us for that we feel unfulfilled and we feel like, why? So for me, I immediately go in and I journey and I look and I see, why do I need this?
To me, everything that you said, I feel like the purpose of it is to control your emotions.
No, you don't want to control them.
You do not want to control your emotions?
No, you want to change them. You want to transform them.
So you're saying there is control from losing control?
You don't lose control. You have more control because your intuition has more information for you that is going to make it a sacred experience than just an egoic one. You're going to fulfill your destiny along with getting what you need.
So for those who are listening to us, Kendra, and they are saying, okay, once again, back to the New Year's resolution, the hopes and dreams that the New Year brings. And people have their list. They want to do the check marks on their list. How do you tie to them? How do they tie into this conversation?
Intend that my new year follow my destiny. That's my resolution. I look back not at what was wrong from last year, because everything that was wrong from last year was the physical manifestation of the spiritual experience I needed to have to expand and become more compassionate and conscious. The ego wants to say, oh, there was all kinds of bad crap back there. This year we got to get rid of that. Okay, so what's just happened? Energetically, you are magnetizing what you need to learn, and your ego is saying, no, we don't want to learn that. No, we don't want to learn that. No, we don't want to learn that. And you are drawing the same thing to you again and again and again and again. Change that vibration, and you will attract something different, your new lesson. And there's one thing energetically I want to leave you with. Sacrifice, the energy of sacrifice has no reward. So when you're giving and giving and giving and you are not allowing anyone to give back because it feels so good, you are not allowing them to feel good. And then they're not going to feel good and they're not going to appreciate everything you're doing. And when they walk away, you're going to stand there and go, I did everything for them and they just had it. Because sacrificing yourself has no reward. You are telling the universal forces to not bring you anything. You want to give and you don't want to get. And that depletes us and it makes us feel unworthy. And we just need to understand how that works so we can change it in our lives.
And Kendra Barnes will be joining us this morning to talk further about healing and also about peaceful ponies. So now we're moving on to our special program of the day, and that is Shock Jaws. Hello. So today we're speaking to Jimmy Carberry, who is helping his niece to sell an impressive collection of shark jaws. Welcome.
Good Lord.
So I was reading in the paper and I see your face and I see you holding one of these impressive shark jaws, and I'm like, where the heck did he get these things? So reading the story, your brother passed away and this was his hobby, right?
It was part of his collection. He did it for over 20-something years.
And so he has 20-something years worth of shark jaws.
Over 10,000 of them.
Over 10,000. Now, you said you knew that he was doing this. He was collecting them. Did you know to what extent?
Everybody knew he collected them, but nobody knew to the extent he collected them. We knew he had a good pile of them, but that's all we knew.
You've never seen any before?
I never seen them until I went to Washington.
Yeah. And so you went and boxes after boxes?
Tote after tote, box after box, drawer after drawer. They range anywhere from 2 inches all the way up to as big as this, 24, 30 inches.
And what was your reaction?
I couldn't believe it. Like, what is he doing with them?
And so...
the only thing I could come up with was the fact he was collecting them and saving them because this was going to be his retirement.
Okay, you think he was intending to sell them?
Yeah, he was going to sell them, but I think this was going to be his retirement. He was waiting until he retired to start selling them off.
Okay.
That's what we believe.
That's what we believe. Okay, so well, it's the same thing that you're trying to do right now. You're trying to help your niece sell these.
Yeah,
out.
because she just wants to get rid of them. She has to get rid of them. There's too many.
So what could you tell us about your brother in order for us to really understand the man who collected this collection?
I don't know how he got started with it. He drove truck most of his life. He drove the East Coast and went to the West Coast. And he met his wife out in Washington. That's where he stayed, on the West Coast.
Okay.
And he rolled over a couple trucks, and they finally said, you can't drive anymore. I mean, he was collecting these over a period of time, even then when he's driving truck. And I guess after he couldn't drive truck, he went into bail bonds. And then he also went into bounty hunting.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, yeah, he lived a wild life. It was a wild life he was living. And somewhere along the line, he started collecting all these. He collected over the years and kept importing them and everything.
And you have, really, it ranges from as big as this. Which one is this? Which one?
That's the Mako.
That's the Mako.
Yeah.
Okay. The ranges for as big as this to the tiny little cute one. It's just behind you. I don't know if you can reach that.
This one here. It's a kite fin.
Kite fin. Okay.
Little kite fin.
Just as deadly, right? Which one is the top and which one is the bottom?
That actually goes there. This is actually the bottom.
Oh, okay. Oh, my God.
And they're loaded with teeth. They get the same thing. When they lose a tooth, another one comes up.
And they are so sharp.
Oh, yeah, they'll cut your fingers.
So you're trying to sell these. Where are you selling these from?
We sell them on eBay.
Okay.
You know, I got some on eBay. I got some on Craigslist and stuff like that. You know, they're kind of hard to sell because a lot of places they won't let you list them. You know, it's like any animal now. They don't want anything listed, and so they're a little bit hard to sell now compared to what they used to.
Have you thought of donating them to a museum?
I've talked to her about it, but we're at the same point again. That the collection is too big.
Yes.
It's 10,000 jaws. It's too big. You know, if it was a few hundred, I think they'd be gone by now.
Yes.
But 10,000, it's so big that nobody's going to invest in that much.
And you not only have sharks, you also have snake skins.
I got snake skins.
You have, what else do you have? Is it a shark skin? You do have that.
I got the shark skins too. We're not too sure exactly what they are, but
yeah.
we have the shark skins.
Okay.
We're not into, we'd have to almost get a magnifying glass on them to find out which ones they are.
Yeah. Wow. So that one is not so rare, and you said that one is the...
It's the tiger.
It's the tiger. Okay.
I
And
mean,
do we know if it's a female or a male?
Nah, we don't know about that one.
We don't know about that one.
We don't know about
Okay.
that at all. There's too many of them. It's like,
Yeah.
see, watch out, they're coming.
Ooh. And this one, did we talk about? No, this one is different. Which one is this?
That one's different. How much? This is the bull shark.
The bull shark. Oh
It's
my.
a bull shark.
All right.
And you get these other nasty ones. These are sand tigers. Actually, I think it goes this way, if I'm not mistaken. The sand tigers. And they get the hook on them too for hooking.
Absolutely.
Like the Makos.
You showed me one. This is the teeth.
Yep, those are actually the teeth. That's a bow-mouthed ray.
Oh my God. And this you say because it's grass?
Huh?
They eat
It's like
grass?
grass, plankton type stuff. It's not really a meat eater.
Yeah.
You
Just
know.
grinding those
Well,
things,
these are
those vegetables,
like meat
yeah.
eaters and stuff, you know.
So we do have vegetarian sharks, huh?
And the other one there is the same thing. That's a Port Jackson. He's the same thing. Very little teeth. You know, they don't eat the meat. They just have to like weeds and plankton and stuff like that. Like I'm not very good. I'm not an expert on these things.
If anything, I really hope this show is going to bring an expert in this to come and to help us understand what a jar like this could tell us what kind of fish this was, why the teeth are shaped like this. This is very intriguing. All right, so people should just be ready to call you to say, okay, I'm interested in this.
I can sell what I got here. What's out in Washington, I can't sell right now.
Okay. All right.
Because we're trying to keep that all intact if we can right now.
Okay.
Because we got an exact inventory of what's out there. All right, these we can sell off as they go. I got other jars that sell for like $20. Silkies and the other ones, black tips, stuff like that. They're very common sharks.
Okay.
And they don't go for really a lot of money like Makos. Because that's what people are after. They're after the big teeth is what they're after.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for coming in to share your collection. I'm intrigued by it, and I'm really, as I said, I'm inviting an expert to come in to really help us understand, tell us the story of what we're seeing here. That will be very cool. Well, I hope you enjoyed our special programs. For now, we are going to take a short break, and we'll be back with more. Well, hello, and thank you for being with us this morning. We are broadcasting live from our WCTV studio. This is Good Morning Wareham, your source for local news, weather report, and more information. And now for a moment in history, let's take a look at where we were today in history. Well, on this day in 1955, Disneyland opened in Anaheim, California. The park was a massive success and led to several other Disney parks being opened across the world. Disney World was opened in Orlando, Florida in 1971, Disneyland Tokyo in 1983, Disneyland Paris in 1992, Disneyland Hong Kong in 2005, and Disneyland Shanghai in 2016. Today, over 14 million people have gone to Disneyland. That is minus me, never been to Disneyland. And these people apparently spend billions of dollars there each year. And on this day in the baseball history, the longest hitting streak came to an end. Yankees center fielder Joe DiMaggio record-breaking 56 straight games with at least one hit game on May 15th in 1941, lasting 2 whole months before it was halted by the Cleveland Indians. DiMaggio would play for 10 more years before retiring in 1951, and he would go on to be elected into Cooperstown in 1955. And today in Cold War history, astronaut and cosmonauts met in outer space and exchanged gifts in 1975. The Apollo-Soyuz test project was a wonderful success, showing cooperation between the two feuding nations in the name of science. This experiment lasted for 44 hours and would end up being the final Apollo mission launched by NASA. Of course, we have birthdays, and today's birthday, a shout out to the only David Hasselhoff of Knight Rider, Baywatch, and SpongeBob SquarePants movie fame. Do not hassle with the Hoff. And that's all for today in history. To learn more cool historical facts, please go online under history.com. Stay with us. The coffee segment is next. But first, Steve meets with the Wareham Free Library's children librarian, Michelle Hickey, to talk about library activities.
Welcome to the third installment of July's Checkout of the Week at the Wareham Free Library. Today, I'm joined by Marcia Hickey, our children's librarian. Welcome, Marcia.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. So I asked you here today because I have some things that are going on with the children's area this summer. Tell me about your summer reading program and all the different activities that you have for children.
Okay. Well, summer reading program is the highlight of the year. And we do an 8-week summer reading program. Right now we're finishing up week 3. Tonight, as a matter of fact, we have a newish program that we do cooking with middle schoolers.
It's called Cooking Adventures, right?
Cooking Adventures. So we're going to do our second one because the first week or the middle week was 4th of July, so we didn't have it. And that's turning out to be tons of fun. They're so enthusiastic. But the whole summer reading program, we call it Garden of Opposites, and we focus in our children's garden a lot. So on Mondays we have story time at the Spinney Memorial Branch at 10:30, and then Tuesdays and Wednesdays we have story time here at the main branch. Starts at 9:30, and we bring the children and their families out into the garden, do a variety of activities. We water, we look at how things are growing, like our peppers are really growing, little tomatoes are growing, and we pick things. So the first week we did opposites of like sweet and spicy. And so we had the kids clip all sorts of herbs. And then we had 2 oils. We had a grapeseed oil, which is sweet, and an olive oil, which is tart. And we cut up the herbs and we put the sweet ones in the grapeseed and the tart ones in the olive oil. And then we had homemade bread, and we had the kids try bread with dipping oil.
That's awesome.
And see the difference. And most of those children are small, so they've only had butter on white bread.
Yeah.
After the garden, we come in, we do story time. And story time consists of singing and bubbles and rhymes and musical instruments. And lots of times we end with parachute play. The kids really like that.
Yeah.
And then we go into the activity room, we do crafts, and after the crafts are finished, we have the children wash their hands because we talk about cleanliness with food and food preparation, and then they help us make that. So we have the oil ready, and we ask them to put in the herbs, and we ask them to shake in Parmesan cheese and mix it up, and they're part of it. Even we have mint, and so we have them pick the mint and put it in lemonade or put it in water so it sweetens the water.
It's the garden of opposites.
So many different things, because opposites is a concept even little children can understand. So we do 8 weeks of that type of programming. Yesterday we had something special because we had the Wareham Gatemen come.
That's right.
And read to the children. But we still did garden time, and part of the opposites, we were talking about seeds versus plants, young versus old. And we took them in back of the library to one of our neighbors, and he raises chickens. So the kids saw the chickens and got to feed the chickens.
But they also got to see the eggs.
They got to see the eggs, which are really cool because they were larger than normal eggs, and they were different colors. They were green eggs, so like for St. Patty's Day, green eggs and ham. But, the first story the Gateman read was first the egg. So
Yes.
it started out with first the egg, then the chicken.
Yep.
And they went through a whole thing of opposites.
Yep.
And they were great readers. We had great Gateman players. And the kids understood the concept.
Yes.
They had actually seen it. So part of our snack on that day was we took eggs, and the kids got to use the egg slicers to slice the
Yes.
tiny
Yes, yes.
put it on bread.
You alluded to it earlier. You had the Wareham Gatemen here yesterday, and they're going to be back here on Wednesday, the 17th. And
Yes.
it's just, I actually, I work with the Cape Cod Baseball League as a scorekeeper, and I can tell you the baseball that these Cape League teams play is incredible.
Yes, it is.
And so the opportunity for children to come and to actually, have stories read to them, to how play games and to get autographs signed and things of that nature. It's just such a unique opportunity for them.
And I try to emphasize to the children, because we get a variety of ages at the Gateman story time.
Yes.
I try to really emphasize that these are college students.
Yes, student athletes.
Exactly.
They're student athletes.
Exactly, because I ask every single player what school they go to, what year they're in, and to tell the children they need to get a good education, even if they're focusing in on sports.
Absolutely.
Part of it.
Absolutely. I think we've been bombarded with children and teenagers asking us about books they need for the summer reading list.
Yes, we make a real concerted effort to make sure we have copies of every book on the summer reading list.
But if-
multiple copies. But this year, we're excited because the library has been recertified. And because of that, the previous couple of years, 3 or 4 years, the kids in Wareham could only get Wareham books or Swansea books. This year, they can order books from anywhere in the network.
Yes,
So
that's right.
even if our copies of, I don't know, what's a summer reading book right now?
The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman.
Yes. If that book is checked out, even though we have 4 copies, we can still get multiple copies throughout the system.
And we have copies of the Spinney Library, of course.
Yes, we try to buy copies for the summer reading books and put them at the Spinney Library for our onset residents who it's convenient. And also, in onset, we get a lot of summer people in the summer cottages, and those families want their kids to read too during the summer. So they're looking for their summer books
Yep.
on their list.
Well, Marsha, thank you so much for taking some time out to join us here on today's program.
You're very welcome, Steve. Thank you.
Thank you.
These
is finally here. Kendra Bond, the founder of Peace for Ponies. You have heard about her. She also does healing. She does it, all of it. So she's finally in our studio to talk about Peace for Ponies. And she has a big announcement to make too, which she's going to make about the upcoming events and the little grandchild and little pony that she just adopted recently. So without further ado, welcome.
Thank you.
So, Kendra, we were talking and we could not even keep quiet because this is such an intense topic. You recently, how many days ago?
Last night,
we
brought up a Jenny who I had gotten a call because we have a huge network and tribe out there of people that are looking in those really bad places for animals in need. So this was a Jenny. She's very sweet. She was due to have her baby. She was ready. So if she was with us, we would have been watching her 24/7. I got the call and a picture, but she was in Virginia, and I couldn't put her in a trailer and bring her up here because she was too far along. So someone took her and brought her to a quarantine, and then 5 days later, I got a picture of her and her baby. So she was in a horrific place, pregnant. They got her to Virginia, and in 4 days, she had her baby.
Tell me about what you mean by horrific place.
Well, a kill pen is where all the auction animals go that don't sell because they are going to be shipped for meat. If you send your animal to an auction, and these are the auctions down south, this isn't a breed auction, but if you send your animal off to an auction, if that animal doesn't get purchased for the money, say $700, it's a nice riding animal, say nobody buys it, well, the auction house and the person does not want to take that animal back. So there are meat buyers, and they buy them for meat. So if they give them meat prices to their weight. So they might get $400 or $450 for that animal, but they don't have to take it home, they don't have to feed it, they don't have to bring it to the next auction. Once the kill buyer has those horses, he gathers a bunch of them because he's going to put them all, he's going to shove as many as he can in a tractor trailer in the heat or the cold. They take animals from Florida in the winter and bring them to Canada. Some of them go to Mexico, and some of them go to Canada because we do not slaughter here. And so the rides are horrific. They don't get fed, they don't get water. They're just starved till they get there. And it's a horrific process. And so Peace for Ponies was started 6 years ago to save pregnant little miniature horses and mini donkeys from slaughter.
And the one that you just rescued currently, she was very pregnant, and she was already, it said she couldn't make it to the auction, so she was going to get slaughtered as a pregnant.
Yes. Yes.
And now, aren't there any rules about slaughtering animals?
No, they're farm animals. Horses and donkeys are considered farm animals, and we're trying to get the SAFE Act passed, which would allow laws to protect them from that. But nobody in Congress wants to look at it. So that's a whole another challenge. The other challenge that we are getting involved in right now as we grow is the camp horses. Those horses go to slaughter. In the fall, when the camps close, there are hundreds that show up in the auctions, and there isn't anybody to buy them. So those little horses that have been trotting your child all summer at a camp go to slaughter because of that.
I mean, Kendra, I am not a huge animal advocate, right? Yeah. And we talked about this. You know, I'm not a vegan. I'm not.
But you're kind.
But the thing is, my humanity prevents me from comprehending a horse, a donkey, a cat, a dog. I mean, just as a woman, I'm not a mother yet, but just to imagine, I mean, it doesn't matter what you are, a snake, whatever, pregnant is pregnant. You're carrying something in you. So to be subjected to these long, horrific rides to end up in a slaughterhouse, I can really not comprehend how humanity can let that just be, whether for meat or not, which you said you don't.
Right.
You're not saying people should not eat meat.
No,
but
never.
Just be kind to how you do it.
Exactly. And so for Peace for Ponies, we try not to focus on the negative. What we try to do is show people why they shouldn't be slaughtered.
And how do you convey that message?
We post videos and we post pictures every day. We share their ways, how kind they are. There's all kinds of videos that show that they have a sense, they're a being, they deserve respect. I just posted a video a few days ago. One of the mares had left and I was very upset. I was in the field, I was crying, and 3 donkeys came over and surrounded me. They brayed at me and then they came and surrounded me because they knew I was sad.
So you feel, normally, especially in our culture here, cats, dogs are the comforting animals.
They're therapy.
They're therapy animals.
They heal us. They come and heal us. They teach us.
Donkeys have the same capability?
Oh my God, they're kind. Now mules, I love all animals, but I'm not a mule person. Mules have a very different attitude than donkeys. That's why donkeys are beast of burden, because they'll do whatever you want. Once they submit, they will do whatever you want them to do. That's why they drive them and put hundreds of pounds on their backs. They'll break their back trying to carry a load for you. That's how they are. So they're kind and gentle. This Jenny is so afraid we can't touch her. It took 2 men holding the leads so that somebody could lead the baby so we could get her from the trailer. And she had no idea what was going on. Someone grabbed her baby. All she wanted to do was be with the baby. And the big men had to keep her from getting the person who was leading the baby. And she got there and she was so kind about it. And she just needed to be by her baby. She didn't want to hurt anybody. She didn't want to push anybody. She just wanted to be by her baby. Just the sweetest Jenny. So, and we have an open house on Sunday, so people can come and meet her. And it just worked out perfect for her to be here. And we have another one in August and September. It's all on our Facebook page and on our web page, which is peaceforponies.com. Our Facebook is Peace for Ponies.
So these donkeys, they come to your farm. So tell me about the process. I mean, you talked about Jenny being so afraid.
Right.
How long does it take until Jenny is comfortable?
There's a lot.
Okay.
We had to have her feet done down there because her feet were about this long and her hooves were curled because nobody had ever cared for them. So because I didn't want her to travel on them, they were done down there. But her feet will need to be done probably every 3 or 4 weeks until they are not twisted and gnarled anymore. So her teeth, I'm not sure how old she is, but as they get older, their teeth can have problems. So we'll have the vet out as soon as she can be handled, and she'll get all of her feet done, her teeth done. They'll look at her over and make sure that everything's okay. I put them on a special diet immediately. I use Dynamite products because I've been using them for years, and a woman, Helen Barrett, supports us and teaches us what we need to give them because everybody has something different. I want to support her feet, but she also has a baby, and so I also want to support her milk production. So there are certain natural herbs and things that will help her with that. We use flower essences. She's on Star Bethlehem, which is a Bach essence for trauma and back actually to the inception of the soul energetically. So she'll be on that for a while. I use a lot of different essential oils because they help to clear the cellular memory in the body. So all of those things really help a lot, but what really helps is all of the volunteers. They will go in and they will just love her, and she'll get it.
Now, why are people hunting donkeys or mistreating donkeys?
Money. It's all about money. You figure if you're out there and you have 20,000 acres, you can have a donkey herd, and every spring or whenever you want, you can go in and you can take out 200 donkeys and bring them to slaughter and get some money. And a lot of small farmers will do that too. They're just out in their field having babies, and then all of a sudden you have 10 of them. And so you bring them to the auction. Most people don't bring them to slaughter. They bring them to the auction, and because they're not bought in the auction, they get bought by the slaughterhouses. They get bought by the kill buyers who buy for meat.
Now, even in the auction where they bring them, for what purpose?
Well, like there's a local person up here, and if you have a horse that you don't want anymore, you can bring him to him, and he'll buy him from you. He'll give you maybe $300 or $400 for that horse. And every 6 weeks, or when he has a load, he goes down to New Holland or to New Jersey, and he goes to the auction and he puts his horses in. He's not going to bring them back, and then he buys horses down there and he brings them back up and he sells them. So that's a part of his business. He's not selling per se. He's not taking them to the kill buyers, but he knows who's buying them. At those auctions, everybody knows who the kill buyers are because they won't buy until the prices go to meet prices. So if you put a horse in the auction and you see him go to, that animal is going to slaughter. Most kill buyers don't take them, are not out on the auction circuit with any of the animals but the ones they think they can get a lot of money for. So the ones that just the regular, they're not gonna, they'll just put them in a field and sell them for meat because it doesn't give them anything for their time if they don't make more money off of them, and they can't do that with those horses. They're meat horses, and so that's what happens. And a lot of our wild horses that they take are found. The Mustangs are found in the kill auctions, but luckily, if there are people there that get them out. Yeah.
So tell me, you started this organization, you said about 6 years ago?
Yes.
Okay. What was the need? What burst in your head to say, I need to take action?
I worked at Grazing Fields Farm, and I was the person that took care of the mares and foals. And when I found that they were being slaughtered, I had to. The horses kind of saved me when I was younger. So now I'm saving them.
So tell me about the public reaction. Tell me about your reception here in Wareham, those you have met, those who know about what you're trying to do. Are people sympathetic?
Yes, and they're very supportive. Our open houses, we usually have a lot of people, and they usually come in and they'll buy raffle tickets and bake sale goods, and we have a little boutique. We definitely need more volunteers, especially men, big men, because most of us are older women. Most of us, myself, I had a hip replacement in February, and most of my volunteers are at the age where we can't pick up a bale of hay and throw it 5 feet anymore. And most of us are horsewomen, so we have a lot of bangs and bruises on us, you know, from being in that environment. So we do need a lot of volunteers, but we do have a lot of people that help us. We're always looking for people like landscapers that can come in and just help us for a couple of hours, because that's something that we just can't seem to keep up with. We have gardens, koi gardens, and I have 23 ornamental trees on the property. And it just gets a lot for me to do any of that now. So we are out there looking for people to help us. But the public is very, very, very wonderful. When actually last Monday, I got a call that there was a family in a kill pen, and it was 2 baby donkeys, and they had just gotten there, and they were going out to an auction. And what that means is they're going to be taken to the auctions are disease-ridden. Once they go to an auction, you have to quarantine them for a month because there's so many diseased horses in there and sick horses. So to prevent them from going to that auction, we put out that we wanted to save them. There were 2 pregnant jennies and 2 babies. The babies had halters with their names on them, which is very, very unusual. And these are spotted. 3 of them are spotted. So when I got the call of the person who is checking these places for me, she goes, "We have to get them out. They've only been there a couple of days," which means most likely they're not sick. And they were someone's. 3 of them were a family. You know, there's a pregnant jenny who is due probably in a month or 2, and 2 babies that are spotted, and they're just adorable. And so most of them don't handle, they don't lead, they've never been held, they've never been touched, but these guys are all over you. So these are donkeys that actually came probably from a little farm, and maybe somebody lost their farm or they were moving, and so they brought them to this person who is a person who sells and buys, and this person was going to take them to the auction. So I put out there online that I needed help with this family, and I have wonderful people that I can call that will help me to pay the jail to get them out of the pens. And then I have other people that will help me with trailering. But we do name games for our babies. So I had brought up 2 babies a couple of weeks before, and so we did 2 name games for them, and that supported us being able to get them into quarantine. So it's always a juggling, it's always a how do we do this, and we've done 14 donkeys in the last 4 months, and that's more than we've done ever. We usually do about 3 or 4 a year because we're so small, but I have a huge network, and now those last 2 babies that I brought in, I had placed them within 24 hours. So people know now that we have donkeys that are up for adoption, and people are contacting me. I already have someone who has contacted me for the 2 spotted babies.
Now, the need is vast, isn't it?
Yes.
You're only a little drop in the bucket, and you.
But
Yes.
fostering is how people can help.
Okay.
And that's our next journey, is to create a fostering system. Right now we have a wonderful foster in Connecticut, and we have one in Middleborough. And what they do is, like these 2 babies, spotted babies that are going to come up, they will go to a foster. They won't come to us because we don't have the room. And she will observe them. She's a vet tech. She'll observe them for 2 or 3 weeks. The person who is interested will come. We do vet check, we do farrier check, we do references. We do a lot. We go to their place and make sure everything's safe, because they're little and they can get out of places horses can't. And so we will do all of that. And then when they go to their home, I can save 2 more and bring them up to her, because she only wants to do babies. She just put her horse down and she needs babies. So we also have a person in Connecticut who took 2 of our boys, and she has a big homestead, and she'll take 2. She'll take 2 more boys and get them, you know, ready for adoption. But what that allows us to do is to have people in Connecticut go and see them too, because that means we're adopting in Connecticut now too. Wow.
Okay, so tell me about how much it costs to raise, to foster, to
Well,
care
the
for these
great thing
kids.
about fostering is that they do it under Peace for Ponies.
All right.
So they can do a bake sale, and the money goes to Peace for Ponies, and then we pay for their hay, we pay for their vet, we pay for their farrier. So they just have to have a community to raise the money. So let's say there were 4 or 5 people who wanted to get together and support a rescue, maybe $25 a month. It's $150 a month would be excessive for a mini donkey.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't
But
cost that much.
if you had to call the vet, if you had to, the farrier is $45. So there isn't a lot, you know, there isn't a lot of cost. They don't eat a lot. They don't use a lot of shaving. So to keep them, you know, it's not, the cost is not high. But what people are afraid of is, what if I get them and they're sick? So what happens is, in our fostering system, if anything happens, we all come together and fundraise.
Okay.
Yeah, but we can only do that for a couple of people right now. We can't have 30 fosters, because we would need someone to run them.
Absolutely.
So that's what we're looking for in the future, is to maybe get a grant to be, to be able to do that.
Okay. So how does it feel to know that, you know, you're doing great work, but the law isn't on your side yet? And how does it feel like? I mean, how do you keep yourself sane? I try not to
focus on that. I just try to focus on the babies we're saving.
Okay. And
do what I can to sign bills, to get it out there, to get people to sign petitions, to get people to call their state reps and say, hey, you know, please, you know, go for the SAFE Act. So there's a lot of that out there. We do have someone who may be joining us, our organization, to help us with that. I'm not an advocate. I'm in the barn.
And the
my
SAFE
place.
Act would do what? What kind of
protections? The SAFE Act would protect. They would put all kinds of protections on animals. Yeah. In New Jersey right now, with the way the laws are, you don't have to have a barn to have a horse. All you have to do is have trees on a fence line. So if there's an ice storm, you don't have to have anything but bare trees on a fence line to protect that horse from the weather. It just isn't right. They need shelter. I'm not saying they need a barn, a 3-sided shelter to keep them out of the wind and wet. You know, they get wet, they get ice, it's terrible.
What's the message you're trying to, as you're trying to gain even more sympathy from the community, lure them in, you know, to see what you're seeing and to feel what you're feeling? What is the message do you have for them? How can they connect, be emotionally connected to the cause?
All they have to do is go watch those videos and see those babies and watch them grow, because that's what we do. We show you when they come in, like you'll see the videos that I posted last night. You can't touch her, and in 3 weeks she'll probably be, you know, she'll be a pet. She'll be having her head on my shoulder, or she'll want her head in my hands, and he'll be, you know, backing his butt up to me to scratch it for him, and because it will all change. The thing is what I find out in the world is people really need something to make them feel worthy. And this just rocks it.
Remind us again about the open house.
The open house is this Sunday.
Sunday, okay?
Yep, it's 10 to 3. We are going to have at 10 and 1, we're going to have a little donkey drawing for the kids. We'll have raffles. The new baby is there. You can meet Sophia, our pig, and our bunnies. We have baby chicks in the incubator right now, and they're actually due to hatch on Friday. So I'm not sure whether they'll make a debut or not. It depends on how strong they are. But we have ducks and chicks hatching for the kids for the summer, because we like them to see that a chicken isn't a McNugget.
Yes.
This is a chicken.
Chicken is not
they don't. Yeah, they don't know. When you say chicken, a child thinks McNugget. They don't think chicken. So we want them to, you know, we can change that a little. But you know, the gifts and the joy of saving them, when we see them leave, and then we get videos of them with their people and meeting other animals, it's just the best. It really is. But it's very difficult, because you take them into your heart for months sometimes to heal them, and then you have to say, oh, you have to go, and that's the hardest.
I can see how invested you are, Kendra, and I cannot thank you enough to come here in the studio. I'll be there for the open house. I need to meet the little one.
Gosh, yes.
And I hope the chickens are going to make their debut.
Oh, me too. And thank you so much for your support for WCTV and all of the community, because it's really amazing. Thank you so much.
Well, that was Kendra Bond here to talk about Peaceful Ponies. I mean, if what she has said did not touch your heart, I have no further words to dispense today. But everything that she has said, I really hope it has touched your heart. There are so many ways that you can help: by volunteering, by donating, your time, money, whatever. You will know where to find her. Peaceful Ponies website can be located on Facebook. Just type in Peaceful Ponies. With that, this concludes our morning program. We'll be back on Friday. This episode will re-air this evening at 6 p.m. and also go online on our Wareham Community Television YouTube page. Thank you so much, Wareham, and have a pleasant morning. Bye.